First of all, I'd like to commend the Green Building Council for putting this together. You have done a lot of work, obviously, um, but there's still a lot of work to be done. Nigeria has a building code that, if followed to the letter, most of the buildings here would have a very high score on the Green Building Scorecard when it comes to ventilation and setbacks from neighbors and all that. But the problem is that there's no implementation. I like what the Greater Portharcourt rep said. Portharcourt used to be known as the Garden City. We hosted the council members of the Nigerian Institute of Architects in January, and the president asked me, "Where are the gardens?" I said, "Oh yeah, I'll have to explain that on another day." The first problem that River State has, why it doesn't live up to its image of garden city, is the size of plots that have been accepted as one plot size. Typically, it's 465 square meters with a width of 15 meters. Now, if you say according to your building regulations and setback should be 3 meters from the side, it means that the building has just 9 meters to work with. Most of the time, that is inefficient. So, very easily, and because there's no implementation, there's no enforcement to developers and homeowners, people tend not to stick to the setbacks, especially from the sides and the back. So you have an environment with a cluster of suffocating housing. You don't have enough wind going through. You can shake you in some areas. You can shake your neighbor from your bedroom. That happens because there's no enforcement. We can sit here and blame the government, but I think that it's time that we put ourselves together and tell the government which direction to go. If you wake up and say, look, we have to implement safe houses, and I'm not even talking about green buildings because there are a lot of entities trying to go about green buildings, there's carbon funding and everybody wants to tap from it, we don't even know which is real and which is not. Yesterday we had a meeting and then we had the Green City Africa Institute meet with us and talk to us on some elaborate plan of how to make the earth green again. And I'm saying, okay, this is good. All of that is good. The Greater Portharcourt stated has regulations as to how to make the earth green again, if I may borrow that. But in reality, there's no implementation. Apart from the big projects where you can stick to the rules, the smaller project, the individuals, the people who are building personal houses, it's a complete mess. I was at SARS Road, it is from days ago. A lot of people are going to lose millions of naira. Why is that? But Portharcourt had a plan and that road was supposed to be equalized from inception. But somewhere along the line, a tinier road was done, and then, I don't know, the government went to sleep, people took laws into their hands and built to the road that is done. And now another government has come and said, no, let us go back to the plan, and you have to demolish a lot of houses along that road. Now what that means is that that road will be as ugly as Abba. When you shower those structures, the man has already lost a lot of money. He's not going to come and now say, I want to do this right, because we're not following the blueprint. So, we really have to work together. This is not the function of the Green Building Council coming. You have to work with all the professionals. Surveyors have to map out, this is what it should be. The architects must design in mind. And, oh my goodness, let me not even start to make this about architects. 90% of the buildings that are being approved and built today are not done by licensed architects. What that means is that there's going to be a lot of mistakes and a lot of damage for the occupants of those buildings to live with. So, yes, all professionals have to wake up. Buildings are falling, buildings are collapsing. Oh, if you check properly, they were not designed by actual engineers. Someone just takes home and say, "Oh, I want a building. You can build house. I've built house before. Yes, come and do this one." The one that collapsed in the Google about this time last year, we didn't even know who the owner. The owner ran away and rejected his property because there were implications to that. So yes, I think that the Green Building Council, we should work very closely with professionals in the built environment, because you cannot have a building without the professionals in the built environment. You talk about finance and government and all that, yes, but we have a lot of work to do. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I think my key takeaway from it echoes what Greater Portharcourt said is implementation barriers. So we, like I sometimes say, we spend a lot of time admiring our problems, but I think it has come to the point where we need to stop talking about them and finding out how to solve them and solutions that actually work. One thing that struck me is, how do you make it worth the person's while not to break the law? I know it seems counterintuitive. Why shouldn't I normally obey regulations? Yes, but we live in a reality where, for want of a better word, we must work with unruly people, undisciplined people, and people who are prone to break the rules, but people who are also self-interested. So how do you integrate that person's self-interest into your development controls, into your planning rules, so that it becomes worth their while to do what they ought to do? Big challenge or something to think about. Is there any other Greater Portharcourt? Yes, sir. 1 minute, sir.
Let me not try to the regulatory agency, but from Greater Portharcourt point of view, before an approval is given, we'll have procedure process. The building plan submitted to us, we make sure that we have the professional seal on it and their number. Also, we also ask for their CVs also to be sealed. We again have a thorough report that taken by either a structural engineer or a builder, indicating that what we have approved is what is going to be built on ground. Yes, we might be comfortable in terms of deployment control. If it's a real funding, because deployment control for my research, I'm a town planner. My area of this is city planning and urban management. We discover to manage a square kilometer presently is about 3,500 naira. How much is approval fees vis-a-vis taking the condiments, the papers and so on that the manual is nothing to write home about. If we look at it from the cost-effective level, we have problem. But this is what we do. You understand? So it's the important of professional. Register somebody giving the seal out without following up. So I don't think we're to be blamed if we are looking at these things. And that is why when we go to court, they will ask us to go. Because I don't want to go to jail, and my children go to jail. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So enforcement and implementation challenges. We'll have a broader discussion later. But Mr. Prince, you're up. So we just want to hear briefly from a few sectoral leaders a bit more about, we've heard about what Greater Portharcourt is doing as a city. We also want to take a sectoral perspective. So I'll hand you over to my good friend and my boss, Prince, who's someone in Portharcourt.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. I am the errand boy. Just to correct an impression, I am the errand boy that was running around Portharcourt for my boss and chairman to come in and make the ground prepared. You know, when they said, "Are you the one we have to expect? We have to expect, or we should wait for another?" I am not the one; it's the greater one. So, very quickly, we are going to go over to our fireside chat. If you look at the program, it's just one question, and we'll be inviting 3 of our guests here today to join us here in front as we look at what we are doing in various industries to make sure that most of the things we are looking at or we are saying today, we are also having plans to put them into practice, real life practice. So the question we are going to be discussing this morning is, from where you sit in the industry, in the academia, from the finance industry, those in government, what is your sector doing and what more can it do to turn climate building policies into real action on ground? From where you are, what are you currently doing and what more can be done to turn some of these policies that we are talking about, these climate action policies, into real action on ground? So to help us with this discussion, I would like to invite Mr. Ori Martins A, who is the current chairman, Real Estate Development Association of Nigeria. That's READ and River State Chapter. Please put your hands together for me. He also doubles as the NDC CEO of Boy Luxury Estates. You're welcome, sir. Next, please, sir. Take one of the seats. Next is Surveyor Mrs. Amina Denye. Please put your hands together for her. She's representing the Surveyor General, River State. You're welcome, ma'am. And also, we'll be having from the academia, Dr. Alorote Amadi. She's the HOD Department of Quantity Surveying, River State University, representing the VC, River State University here today. Please put your hands together for her. Any other sector? Okay, do we have anyone here from finance, from the finance? Okay, so let's go ahead with this.
Yeah, good morning, all.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah, I'll be speaking particularly from the perspective of academics, being academics, the academia of society. What can we do, or what have we been doing so far to advance the discourse on green building? That's the issue on ground right now. Currently, green building is taking center stage globally. and has infiltrated into our curriculum at different levels, at undergraduate and postgraduate levels. We have a lot of sustainability inclined programs being run on campus. For example, the Department of Environmental Management runs programs that tilt into green building sort of. But that's a more broader approach to management of the environment, particularly the natural environment. But green building specifically, the Department of Quantity Surveying is taking the matter head on. We are in the process of developing a postgraduate program on green building economics and management that we're hoping will take off next year. The groundwork has been done, and we're hoping to collaborate with the Green Building Society of Nigeria, GBCN, on how we can have programs, short courses that in addition to the postgraduate program at master's and PhD level. The program particularly is going to be looking at the economic and financial aspects of green building. You will notice in the discussions and conversations we've been having so far, so much emphasis is placed on architectural and engineering perspectives. But let's say the truth, without money, all of this is just mere talk. The feasibility of these projects we want to embark on green building projects, however laudable they are, require some financial expertise to know anybody that goes to put their money to a project expects to make returns. And you cannot tell me that I should go green without giving me the bigger picture of what I stand to gain back from that investment. So the ideology behind this program is such that you have the architectural perspective, you have the engineering perspective. Now let's come from the financial and economic perspective. Talk about resources management from the economic sustainability is not touched on like environmental and social aspects of sustainability. So the program is going to look more in depth to the economic side, look at quantitative analysis techniques, because if you want to analyze carbon content of a building, first of all you must understand the quantities. So it's going to be a complete package program. That's something the university is working on. And something we can possibly do in addition to that is having pilot demonstration projects on campus, having green building projects to show students what a green building looks like. So we're talking so much theory. Practically, if you can also have green building pilot projects on campus that our students can actually be part of the building process, I think is also something that is going to help. Another point that we are of particular interest in building information management being it has taken over the delivery process of buildings from paper-based to computer-based analysis. So being right now is so versatile that it has the capability to infuse green building into it. Moving from paper-based procurement to beam-based procurement. I delivered the paper at the Nigerian Institute of Quantity Surveyors conference on that. Very elaborate presentation on how we can use BIM to harness the benefits of green building into procurement practices, life cycle cost analysis, water analysis, and all of that can be infused into the BIM. I can go on and on, a lot to say, but I think I'll just stop at a few points. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, I think we'll move on to Surveyor Amina. What are you currently doing in the survey industry with regards to the climate and building policies, and what is it that can be done in the future?
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Once again, I'm standing representing the Surveyor General of Green State. And in my own capacity, I'm a lecturer in the Department of Surveying and Geomatics, River State University. I'm a surveyor. What is happening now in the government? I would say the Surveyor General has begun to ensure that there is advancement in data acquisition using the current technologies to ensure that spatial informations are quite accurate. Because we are talking about green buildings, but there's no green building without a space spatially defined, properly located. And going forward, I don't want to take too much time. The Office of Survey General is looking at ensuring that our land parcels are more or less defined in proper topography location. When I say topography, every structure must be on a well-defined platform. So we are seeing a window which shall have a 3D survey plans rather than having just two-dimensional. So the topographic information of every defined location or parcel is being looked into, because we have some special information about some estates. We were able to acquire digital elevation models of some already existing estates that we are able to see that there are some challenges that has to do with those locations. And when she was talking, architect was talking, the actual size of properties are not going to help us to ensure that we have green areas. So it's one other area that we're looking at, and let me just, this summit, we're going to be having something very early in 2026, the last summit, where we are looking at also collaboration with every professionally built environment to see that land parcels titling processes are properly done. Now these buildings, when I go to land titling, we are trying to see the way we can engage with the government right now to see that we don't have sporadic building, that is people just going into an area and then developing. We want to see if we can start having systematic land titling, because that is quite expensive and we are shying away from it, but that is a way where if that area is properly planned and the green areas are defined, then we can now be enforcing. But if people have already gone into the place and you want to start enforcing, it's like a back and forth issue. So we want to see if we can be more proactive in land management. That is one thing. The Office of General has also made it clear to surveyors in the states that every information about land parcels must be domiciled in the Office of the Surveyor General. So there is a verification process already going on, automation of survey data acquisition. There's an automation process right now going on to see that we are doing away those that are not surveyors, those that are, we call them quacks, let me use that word, that are not, so they cannot come into the system. So we're looking for, there's a way now to put them out of the system. So every survey plan must go through, and then we have a customized paper that you can actually scan the information of any surveyor that needs. So any job, any survey plan, any information about survey that you get that is not on the customized paper, you already know that it is not going to stand in any way. So that is already in operation, right? And that's the first step. And the second step is seeing that every survey information is domiciled. Then we are also doing a little bit of updating where those surveys that were done are being recalled, and there may be a need for what they call the reactivation of survey. Those that have done their survey, so we want to see that those are also on the system, so we can ensure that this is done. The collaboration, when I say the land summit, is we're already doing the roundtable discussions, and that we will definitely call you into it, because we need to work together to ensure that this bring. And then in my own area, I'm trying to do research in the Department of Surveying and Geomatics. We're talking of green buildings, the environment, climate. There are wetland areas that are being converted for buildings, which is actually not supposed to be so. So we want to see how far that has gone and what can be done to ensure that this doesn't continue, and how much of these resources, the wetlands, do we need to ensure that we have better environment. So that is one of the research that is ongoing in the Department of Social and Journalism. I think I can end here for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. Please put your hands together for her. So, I know you're one of the persons, you know, in the military, you have people that say that the front liners, I mean,
Yes.
the frontline people that goes to the war front, apart from the strategic people behind. In Rivers State, Boeing Luxury Estate is one of the key persons that are in the front line of development and implementation of some of these strategies. What have you been doing? What do you intend to do in real time that will better some of these policies we are looking at today?
Thank you very much. The National Expo and State Expo of Greenhouse Council of Nigeria, different professionals here represented, our resource persons outside Nigeria. I bring a greeting from Real Estate Developers of Nigeria, especially River State Chapter. I'm excited to be here this morning. I feel from Abuja to be part of this program for three obvious reasons. Just last week, Mr. Abed is here. Just last week, my company was awarded by Women Town Planner of Nigeria as one of the real estate companies that is doing things differently in the area of green housing. Mr. Abed, you are there at an icon luxury. That's on personal note. On the second note, is what just mentioned now, real estate developer, whether the government, the academia, the town planner, the surveyors, they are the implementers of all of these efforts. We are the front liners. And as a company, recently, we expand our force beyond Nigeria. And where we are is Kigali, the green center of Africa, the cleanest city in Africa. So I'm very passionate about this discussion. So these three factors. Now let's go personal. As a company, real estate or Bulldozer Estate, we pride ourselves as a company that's come to change the face of real estate in Nigeria by adopting innovations and creativity in our development. Today we are developing a project that the first full solar power estate in Busabe. We call it Abuja's $1 billion view, Asoko Road Villa. This has earned us a lot of recognition. People driving to this project to come and see what we are doing, just to come and see. In fact, the lady came and said, please, where you are developing, leave an area. People can come and relax. They may not have money to buy, but they have the feel of what we are doing here. And as chairman of the Real Estate Developer of Nigeria, March this year, a company of our national president were in the UK, Leeds, where we attended the UK Real Estate Investment and Infrastructural Conference, the largest real estate gathering in the world. And when you go from one booth to the other, one exhibition to the other, the common denominator among all this is green energy, green innovations, all of that. And we took leave from there. In June, at Terreta Hotel in Lagos, we organized African ESG conference with the theme Sustainable Real Estate Value Chain, the Era of Green Initiative in Africa. And he did not see any representative from this body at that conference. How was the time you were there, sir? Okay.
The president was there.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I will draw my The council was well represented.
Well represented.
And such collaboration need to be enhanced for us to collaborate more. On my way here, I called my architect at Google. I'm sure he's working anywhere from now. In the project I mentioned in Abuja, we left 5 hectares of land inside the estate to build a recreational area. When we got there, we saw animals in the heart of Abuja, monkeys, this big lizard, antelope, and we kept them in. We want to build resorts around this, we want to build a natural habitat and we build around. They are still there. We are presently designing, we have approached Edge to get a certification as well, because our design will have to start from the scratch to incorporate green effect and Edge certification. That we are doing. Here in Portharcourt, we have a project in the University of Portharcourt where we use bricks, the clay bricks, to build a 2-story building about 72 units. Because Boeing Luxury Apartment, BLA, people are living there now. We are in this structure, you may put on your AC if you are love of AC, not because the condition in the room is not conducive. So this has reduced our energy consumption by about 30%. And every opportunity I have, I sell this idea to my fellow developers. However, government have a lot of role to play. I mentioned Rwanda, Kigali now. Before I enter into that market, I met the Nigerian ambassador to Rwanda. And the first thing the man said, Martins are coming from Nigeria. Here in Rwanda, you have to go by the books. Also, opportunity to meet Rwanda's ambassador to Nigeria. I was trying to tell him I'm coming to. He said, "Yeah, I know you guys in Nigeria, but the Martins look for where it is written. What has been written, go by what is written. However, if you are not comfortable, you can apply for exception. If they give you exception, go by it." What they are saying is there are laws there and the laws must be obeyed. It's very unfortunate when we allow locals, villagers, illiterate to plan cities for us. You see that a lot around here in the Korean community. We have people that spend years, 5, 10, 20 years, reading and studying, carrying on studying on town and regional planning. Like Mr. Faithful here. We don't want to plan our city, we allow the locals to plot cities for us, to develop cities for us. And interestingly, when they are planning, the survey they bring is the more land they have, the better for them. So the road that they are standing as a road can take just one car. There will be space for green area for recreational. And of course, the surveyor, the deal with the surveyor is
give
you
us
get one plot at 10 plots.
That you give us.
Any 100 plots you come out with, you get 10 plots. So surveyor want to get as many plots as possible. For his own benefit. And the villagers want to sell as many as possible. For the compensation, they told they have 1,000 plots. By the time we did our plotting, and once we get the square meter, we subtract 20% for infrastructure. He said, no, you cannot get your 700. We have one, as we told we have 1,000 plots. Martins were a team. How many you have? Less than 700. By the time we bought it, he said, no, we are not selling road for you. Not concerned with your green area. When you put transfer is your responsibility. Our interest is the plot. It's interesting. You didn't say plot, you didn't say hectare. You said plot, meaning that each plot must have a road. After much argument, I not draw out the analogy. Imagine that you are not selling for us as a company. You are sharing it among yourselves. Is any one of you that want to have a road to this land? They said no. We're able to get just about 100 plots out to just allow it. But many developers are not aware of this. Once we say they have 1,000 plots, they put in people 1,000. At the end of the day, they need to maximize profit. The 450 kilometer will reduce to 490 something. And on, we continue populating slums. We continue increasing unplanned settlements that will end up haunting us. Conclusively, I once ran a school in this town, Portharcourt. In the morning, I normally, because the parents want to see who is in charge of their children. In the morning, I always stay at the gate to watch the parents, to see the parents and watch the reaction of the students or the children. What I pick out, when the child gets to the school compound, you can tell the kind of household that child is coming from. A child is confined in an environment when they get to school in the morning, want to run around and play, he doesn't mind to stay in the clothes, nowhere to play at home. A child that has a play area, growing and all of that, they are very calm, when they go to the class, they want to learn. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Okay. Okay, so immediately after now we'll be going for our tea break. My president has given me the permission to take those two questions. If you have any questions for them. Okay, so 1, 2. Your question, please, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Ibrahim Brown. I am a town planner and I work in the university as well. That's my question goes to nearly everybody at the table. First, it goes to the last speaker. I am very picky and selective when I am doing layouts, especially real estate development. The reason is that I have seen both sides of life. Travel out and see how the estates look like. Come to Nigeria, see this is real estate. I've seen a layout that has no green or no provision for any infrastructure. I'm surprised. You said you also have 20% for infrastructure. Yes. The standard is 15% for roads, for circulation, minimum. What has your association, the Real Estate Developers Association in Nigeria, done, especially in River State? Because there's that growing urban slum you are creating. You're only transferring the problem of Portharcourt Township to those rural areas. And it is becoming a very beautiful slum. What has your association done to ensure that all those real estate developers can must be green areas, not specifically for them? That's one. For the surveyor, despite this happening that we see quacks, you call them quacks, but they are part of your people because they still get pillar numbers and whatever you call it, bacon or whatever from the same source, but you call them quacks. I was involved in a project where there was a survey plan signed and sealed by a surveyor, but when it was, the coordinates were pictured into the system, it was way out of practice. It was so shameful. I went as a town planner, said yes, we'll solve this problem. But when the survey plan was fed into the system, it was a different thing entirely. You are now telling us you are trying to modernize and update. Are you sure? What happens to those survey plans of yesteryears that had those fundamental errors? It is not interesting to still at this time that we still grow in that system. It's a systemic thing, we agree, because it comes from when there's no standardized plot size. How do you manage that? Because as a town planner, I know that every density has specific plot size. The high density in Dube has its own plot size. The medium density in D-line has its own. And the low density in GRA has its own different plot sizes. And we know the occupancy ratio and all those things we do, the built percentage of built areas. That is the reason why the Portharcourt Township has specific play areas, 6 play areas from number 1 to number 6 feet, because they don't have space for recreational areas in their houses. But what are surveyors doing about that? Because it is becoming a menace to us. Thank you.
You want to take that, or let's just take all the questions once? Okay, let us take the questions so you can respond to them all at once, please.
Okay, please, let me start with this input. What I want to ask is not specifically for them, because I know them, and I also know what they are doing. I also know how they are metamorphosing. But what I want to ask is, directed towards the Great Building Council. When we are looking at this action plan, are we looking at the built area, or we are looking at the peri-urban? Because in our discussions, the planner perspective has been put aside. When I look at also the action plan, the blueprint, I also see that you put things like ACON, you put things like, but at TopCon, you put things like current, but at TopCon, it's not also there. Does it mean that the planners who are the custodian of the real thing are not in the picture? Because basically, if we are actually going to make this work, just as it happens in South Africa, they are dealing with the municipalities who are actually executing it from the basics. So if the planner's perception in terms of, for example, capacity building, you can see that planners are not in the picture. It doesn't mean that they are not partners and they are not key stakeholders to this whole thing. That's what I want to ask. The second thing is, are we concentrating on peri-urban area, or a combo, a mix of both the developed and the built and the unbuilt areas?
Okay, please.
We believe that police are our friend, right? When I say police are our friend, now people are laughing. That is not true, right? Believer that we have police with this. I don't see police on the road and or yap them or blame them. They are standing there to represent the society we find ourselves. We have the police with the The society we have is what gave back to such police. The same thing happens to developers. People are into development as a business, and as a business they are to make profit. So when there's no regulations, it's only a few people that want to go extra mile to do the right thing. I said I call it extra mile because there's no incentive, no motivation. When I'm selling a plot of land 10 million naira, and my neighbor is selling his own 7.5, in no time he will sell out. I'll take it back. Nobody wants to listen to why my own is more expensive. Nobody wants to know how many percentage they give up for infrastructure. When there's regulation, and that's why when I heard of Greater Portharcourt about 13, 14 years ago, the concept of Greater Portharcourt is one of the reasons why I went into real estate development. I was so excited that there's a new Portharcourt that is coming. When I came to Portharcourt year 2001, I was actually looking for the greens, the gardens. I did not see. Initially, it was strange to me. Coming from Lagos, I thought I'm going to be in somewhere paradise. But after a while, I get used to Portharcourt for what Portharcourt is. And when I heard about there's a Greater Portharcourt, the
So administrator then, Alaric Kukigam, was an elderly friend. I went to her office, made inquiry. After a while, I went to real estate development. But what happened to graph after then is a different story. But most people like Mr. Faithful that still staying tall, still remain in the system after that year. Please, a round of applause for him. Having clapped for him, I also need to give a knock to the organization representative, not to him. But has become a toothless bulldog now that can bite but cannot bite. How I wish organization like Greater Portharcourt can bite and bite hard. So you mentioned earlier about Texas Road. When there's setback, probably acquired or a mark for road, and people are building on setback, what is government and government authority doing? We are deriving pleasure in demolition. What happened before the building started? Who gave the approval? So as a developer, Nigeria has a developer with his heart. With all sense of modesty and humility, we are here to also, we have children in school, we also pay rent, we buy the fuel the same price. We need to make the money, but let the regulation come. Anybody that is not following the regulation will be punished accordingly. The first time I went to Rwanda, I saw a Chinese guy having a wonderful project. The last time I went there, I want to also copy to interact with him. Asked about this in 21-year imprisonment. What happened? That the guy invaded tax and did not follow the construction code. Sent to 21 years imprisonment. The Chinese government requested for extradition. The Rwandan government refused that must complete the 21-year imprisonment in Rwanda. If you say 30% of your estate, your project must be reserved for grain, and you don't do that, and government deny you approval or refuse you to, or will go to jail. Nigeria, we are one of the most obedient state I ever think of in the world. We are very obedient. But let the law, the enabling environment be there. We'll follow. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Please put your hands together for him. I would want to beg that we take a break for now. We'll have our tea break, and then when we'll come back, we'll continue with this, please. Thank you so much.
Bring out one of the child.
Yes. Yes. You can go this way, sir, if you're done. Yes, it is just
Okay, like this.
yes.
And you are senior by this, and you are taller than me. Why?
Sir, it's God, though. Yes.
Thank you very much. I like what you are doing. You are doing a great job.
Thank you so much, sir. You, sir.
You have coffee.
Yes, sir. Please, good, good. Sorry? So, let's have a there's sugar here, there's sugar at the end of it.
What do you think?
Okay.
What is this? Where do you start from? Oh, I start with that. Thank you. That should do. Or what?
Coffee, there's tea,
Green
green
tea.
tea.
Sorry, sir. Okay.
Oh, okay. Only.
Yeah. Oh. Our tell us your position very well. They refuse. I'm not happy about it.
Yes, granulated. Hello. There's sugar at the end of the table, so you can just continue. Marianne, what time?
The videographers. The questions. Who should we select? We have to select the guys for the fire chat. Then, are we having another?
Another panel for
So basically, we need them. Those are the persons we need. The questions. Okay, I'll write something out and give to them. Wait.
Let me make this clear. Just only coming from a green area there. Yeah. Even there, rent that that is why even in the village, they are telling them not to say this or this or make the game. Like you said, just have inventory of trees and so on. They have to come and do that. For example, that's right. You will come to planning.
Hi everyone. So I think we'll continue with more water. They say water also or water throats, dry throats. So we want to move on to the interactive session. This is just kind of a chat discussion about what we've heard and what we think about what we've heard, about the action plan, how does it sit in our realities, in our lived realities, how does it relate to our day-to-day experiences, what do we think is missing, what do we think can be added. I don't want this, let me not say I don't want, I would prefer that this does not evolve into a discussion of who is represented or which professional body should be doing that or who is not doing what they ought to do. I know that is relevant at some level, but here I think we should be more focused on how we can move from what is not working and what is missing or what has not been recognized, and look at what we need to do to get things moving to green our built environment. So I understand and I know that it's not about any single profession or any single agency, And it's not even all about what government is doing or what government is not doing. Because I was just discussing with a couple of gentlemen, and I made the observation that the government is us, because the government is drawn from us. So if the government is not working, we're not working. That's the truth. Government changes time, but the problems persist, which means that it is not government per se, but it is a societal issue. So we want to discuss. Let me first of all just answer one of the questions that was raised earlier about the action plan focused on the existing city or peri-urban areas. It's looking at the city in general. The action plan is about looking at two things which are intertwined. It's looking at the urban context, that's the city level, and it's also looking at the building within the cities. It's looking at, now we are, fortunate may not be the right word, but it's the best one that comes to my mind now. Now, in countries in the global north, most of their cities have already been built. They are not growing, in fact, they're shrinking. So retrofit and fixing existing urban problems, top priority for them. For us, it is something that we need to think about, but also important, and perhaps more important, is not replicating the mistakes of what we have already done in our fast urban peripheries. Our urban footprints are set to double in the next 20, 30 years. So in as much as we want to focus on fixing what has been built, for example, the single lane road that ought to be dual carriageway, how do you tackle that? That is a problem. Maybe we're scared to tackle that because I remember my boss, sorry, I'm going on too long. I started my career with Aeroplane. I know some people loved him, some people hate him. Let's not get into that. But he did something in Kaduna that was very interesting. He faced that challenge, and what he did was he simply paid people and said, move your fence back and dualize the roads. They cost money, but it's not an unsolvable problem. But it's a problem that requires political will and it requires some money. But our focus is also on what is growing outside. How do you stop replicating those mistakes? So just to answer that question, the action plan is about the existing city and the future city, put it that way. So first of all, I just want to open up the floor for discussions, for your thoughts on this action plan. Put it up. I hope we can read it. Do we need to put up the light or we can see it? Will the cameraman be able to see our faces?
Let's put it up.
Cameraman.
I think it still works.
It still works.
It still works. Yeah. It doesn't turn on.
Okay, so we're going into discussing, we have these 8 strategic objectives, but before we go into that, I just wanted to ask, just to get a sense of what we're dealing with in this region, because every region is different, every state is different, so we can't generalize. So I just wanted to get a sense, what kind of particular challenges we are facing in this part of the country. I know that what I read in newspaper is different. I know that I hear a lot about erosion, but I don't know, I've not seen any results. What are the problems we are really facing? Because we want to move from problems to solutions. What are the challenges, and then how does the action plan, or how can the action plan help us address it? So I don't know, I'm just going to answer a couple of us to share our thoughts. What are even your own problems in an urban context or in your home? Is it heat? My house is just too hot. You know, I lived there for 10 years, it wasn't like this, but suddenly every day I'm hot, I have to be running my AC all the time. I didn't have to, like the chairman of Redland shared about their project, you know, no AC. Is it the band A that has come to afflict so many of us? Is there anybody on band B or C here? Oh, lucky you. You know, housing costs are another potential challenge. Cost of housing or rent, flooding or drainage. I know that up north and in the north central and in the parts of the southwest is a problem that has come to stay. It's like if it doesn't flood, then it's not a proper year. The year is not complete. Or maybe we'll talk. I don't know whether I should raise this one again. Let me skip it. Weak enforcement. Is that something that you face? Is that an experience, and what is the consequence of it? I'm not talking about blame here, I'm talking about effects and impacts. So it's not about who is responsible. You know? One thing we've not touched on here is, because remember we are talking, even though we're talking about the built environments live in a city. They are connected to the city, and so the way the city works affects the built environment. So if there is no public transportation, or if there is dysfunction in the transit systems, it affects you. So is that something you experience? How long does it take you to get to work today? How long did it take you to get to work 5 years ago? No. Lack of greenery, we've heard a lot about it. So just from one or two people, I don't know if you want to talk about this a bit. What are the challenges in Abia State, in Delta State, in River State, in the cities, in the built environment? What is that thing that you wake up in the morning and it really gets you? Thank you. The floor is open. Any brave person?
No, go ahead. You can stay where you are. Sorry.
Thank you very much. I'm Samuel Antonatuka, Deputy Director of the Ministry of Fiscal Planning and Urban Development, Delta State. Going straight to the point. Greetings to everyone in the house, especially to my professional colleagues. Thank you. If we want to talk about the challenges that we face, they are so numerous, but I will just pick some I consider to be the most important. Though we say we are all government, I want to consider that to be the first. The political will to implement these action plans always comes from those in authority. I've worked in government for 20-something years, and I can tell you, as a matter of fact, that different governors will come. Some few years back, we did some layouts, cut out green areas, beautiful places, even in the state capital. By the time the next government comes in and said, we want land, those of us in government know what that means. We will subdivide all the green areas, and we have been subdividing till date. We subdivide all the green areas and we keep them out. Then, when you come to approvals, my colleagues will also testify that when no matter the policy on ground, when the powers from above orders you to do something, you get it done. You don't go back and tell them, sir, this is the policy that you made or you told us to make or that is on ground. You get it done. All right, so I will just say that from the side of the government. Then we talk about who really pilots development in the townscape. Do we have a land use decree that says all land is kept in trust of the government? But we see that it still comes down to the locals, to the communities. They are the ones that own the lands. Apart from the few areas the government has acquired that we can actually plan, 80% of the land belongs to the local community and to individuals. And today they will tell you, we have given this place as a road to this plot. Tomorrow they come and sell that road. They said they are the owners of the community. They sell the road. Then, for those of us who come from Delta States, you will know what I talk when I talk about youth restiveness or community restiveness. Carrying out development control in Delta can be very dangerous, violent, bloody, and I know what I'm saying. That there were times where you go out you take security officers, you go out for field work, and you enforce the law, and come back to your office. The security officers are gone. Then the people now visit you. They now pay you a visit in the office. I don't want to go through some terrible experiences, but I remember once being a young officer, my boss jumped the fence and left us behind. Everybody had to escape. Everybody had to escape. Look for a way to escape for their lives. So you come back to the fact of when you want to implement and the lands, just barely less than 10% of lands are government acquisitions where we can plan. And in those areas where we can plan, the building regulations are enforced. You build 30% of your plots, you use nothing less than 15% for green areas, and so on and so forth. But then, lack of manpower turns out to also be a problem, because in Delta, for example, where we are done with initial inspections and approvals, there's not enough manpower to come for constant monitoring, and that's where things change. Things change. By the time you come back there in a year's time, if you go through a lot of our townscape, you will see what you. All right. Thank you. Gentrification is taking place so quickly that the face of the environment is changing so fast. People change. If a residential area is growing and people see that it's becoming commercialized, before you wake up in the morning, the place is already changed. They change, and we don't have the manpower to keep monitoring these things. These problems yeah. The problems just keep it continues. Then political interference in the job, I won't call names, but I will give an example. We stopped a wrong development some few years ago. We didn't know the property belongs to the wife of the governor. So the next thing, we were all summoned to government house. Oh my God! Let's keep the story there.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I'll stop there for now.
So I think to summarize, your main issue is constraints. If I were to summarize it, constraints on your ability to enforce land planning, land use and planning regulations. So that is one major problem that we need to see. Does the action plan tackle it? And if it's missing, how do we integrate it? Is there any Antonio? I thought Dr. Henry. Sorry,
whatever that means. Center. Good morning. I want to just come from one angle and very look how you come with me. And that is, I have a scenario. I asked somebody to go fix something in the ceiling close to my house, something I worked on. And about 10 minutes after, they called me that there was an accident. What happened? The man tried to climb to go do something electrical and fell. So he did that instead. So I went there. Now, why I'm saying this is that I got there, the section of the timber that was used for the logging, that's supposed to be 50 by 75, was less than 30 by 30. You know what I mean? 2 by 3 was not 1 by 1. That's what it was there. So, what I'm saying this is that we as professionals, we think we want to make it and excel in a bad environment, and it's not possible. They just mentioned, my friend just mentioned here about the professionals. In architecture, we are going to say that we are architects, master's degree, pass your exam, and all that, and the rest are passed. But it's crazy. In this country, we see professional things like what we call mosquito. You know the mosquito with big eyes. But professional person elsewhere is like octopus. It has too many legs. What that means is that you see all of these places where people sell things like wood and all of that. If the system was well structured, there would be professionals in every timber market. If it's so organized, it could be architects, surveyors to ensure that the right things are done. There are no standards in Nigeria, and we all buy them. If you go to the steel market, you will see all kinds of things there. I have a little experience with maybe the Canada or the US. You cannot. Just a few months ago, I tested something. I went to buy 1 by 1 piece of wood that was 12 feet. 1 by 1 by 12. And I left it in my house. And it was like that for 1 week. In Portharcourt, if you buy 2 by 3 and live on site on Friday, by Monday, you go. Why? The timber is not up to 25 days or 30 days as standard. So until all of these things are put in place, we have issues. So these things runs from putting one material to another to our organization. There is no architect as huge as my president there that can run on site. But if we organize, there will be other kinds of architects of other lower levels that have lower assignments to do that will make the system work. And force the government to keep standards. We do not have standards there at all. That's right.
Thank you. So I think that goes to one of our, to summarize, is quality control and standards. Poor quality control and standards. Okay, if you're putting up your hand, let me allow you to talk.
Good afternoon. My name is Tarek, a lecturer with Yoruba State University, Department of Environment and Technology. My own issue about the climate change resilience issue. For the case of Portharcourt, Portharcourt is well planned. Portharcourt is well planned, and from a master plan, every part has been kept for different uses, both the green infrastructure. But today, because of lack of follow-up of the plan, which has even expired 2003, and we have not even really reviewed it to see our lapses. Now, government on its own part, that is the implementer of this plan, has failed. That is why Obiako has is complete slump from my definition. I don't mind how people will see that definition, but Obiako is complete slump. Now, further, which is the planned area, as the master plan is concerned, today is facing serious crisis as most of the green infrastructure, which is our waterfront area today, is being invaded. And what are we seeing there? Shanties. And these green areas from the master plan was preserved as green area to help absorb the carbon footprint of this city. But today we have invaded it, and you have the best of houses here, which are slums. And if we continue in this direction, then I don't think we'll meet Portharcourt. The scorecard will be minus in the next future. And one of my students recently did a research on urban heat island and livability. And we found out that places like my trade, which is in Portharcourt, and we use the Roma Homo gases, you see that the heat has increased drastically over the years. So I think we use about 15 years span to look at it. It has increased because of, as the population increases, we demand for more land to build. And all the surface of this area has been built upon. Even the Mediterranean area, where you used to have a lot of rain. Today, people have built on like the Eagle Island and all those places. So it will continue to increase, and we will have issue with. And when we analyze, we find out that people are having discomfort in their residence. Some are having respiratory problems and all the rest. And if it continues, we will not get what we want as a people. But at this place, we need to take that decision by saying, what are we going to do, and how can we interact with the government, which are the enforcer of these laws and regulations, to make sure that things are being done. Like our agencies in Rivers State, it is, in fact, they don't have staff. I will say they don't have staff. I will continue to say it. How will the ministry have only about 5 to 6 planners to manage the entire state? How will development control be effective? It's nothing. My director to his agency, the Greater Portharcourt, how many town planners do you have there? How many professionals do you have there that can carry out development control activity? And you see government comes and go, a government will come up with a lovely idea of having sustainability in our system. The next government will come and say, I don't care. So how can we move? And some of us are in the political setting where we can give that advice to the chief executive for us to move forward. But it's not working out. But we must continue to advocate, we must continue to progress in that direction, bringing participation, that governments to participate in such meetings, and we continue. I think one day they will hear what we are seeing for us to improve our system. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much for those comments. I particularly picked up what you said about the discomfort people are starting to feel in their homes. And not to be mean, because it affects me also. Yes, now you go and find, you see, well, we cannot run away from the fact that we are economic beings, in the sense that we live in a climate where economics drives most of our decisions because we don't have all the resources in the world. What am I trying to say? You want to build a house, and sustainability is not at the forefront of your consciousness, even if you know on an intellectual level that it is important. You're looking for how to solve your immediate problem. So your mindset is, let me build, then later on I'll come and solve that problem. So what I mean is, not to be mean, is that when they've entered it, they will find a solution. I'm saying it because I feel the same way, and there are retrofits out of it. It can be painful, it can be more expensive than the expense you are trying to avoid, but if you go and build a house that is constantly hot, when you spend the first 1 or 2 years running your AC all the time, then you start looking for solutions. So, but moving on, let them not say I'm a wicked person. Don't vex me. I confess I did it. So the thing is, we have the issue, the problems. How do we think? How does the action plan respond to them in any way? The one that I find most difficult to link, which is maybe because we're too scared to turn in that direction, is the direction of political interference and enforcement. But it's, I don't know, I think it touches on it, but let's discuss. Does it address it? If not, how can we address it? Because it's not enough for us to say this is a problem and then, oh, we just say, okay, we'll continue living with it. How do we solve it? What do I mean? I know things can seem hopeless or bad sometimes in Nigeria, but for those of us that are old enough, we know that we've actually come a long way. So a change is not impossible. For example, as recently as a decade or 15 years ago, you have, even having the federal budget sometimes could have been counted as having an official secret, and they could harass you. But now the budget is there, everybody has it. If you want it, you can go and see it. Now, you may not have the ability yet to go and harass the man, say, how did you award this or not? But the fact that that information is out there and you can see it and you can get it, I count that as progress. The fact that there is a law guiding procurement, even if set aside the fact that it is circumvented, that is another problem. But you have a law. And the fact that the law exists compels those who want to circumvent to go to some extra effort before they could just do it. So there is no stress on them, you understand? I wake up, I want to. But now I have to go through some effort and do some calculation, talk to some people. So that may not sound like it's good enough, but at least it is progress. And as somebody said, the steps that we take, they don't need to be big steps. It's just as long as they're moving us in the right direction. That's what we need. So we're making a bit of progress with political interference. Remember, I hope there's nobody from NTA or we remember Gandola. I don't know who Gandola. Kano State. So it's not that easy to hide these this political interference anymore. And for the sake of embarrassment of being filmed stuffing dollars into your pocket, people are being a bit more careful. Or for the sake of the fact that you will not be able to get a visa to Europe anymore, so you're forced, you must always go to Dubai or some other local country. You can't summon the US anymore, you can't summon Europe anymore. This is putting some checks on some of the things that politicians feel that they can do, whereas in the past they did them without a second thought. So that is progress in a way. It may not be what we want, it may not be as much as we want, but we are moving in the right direction, and little steps will get there eventually. So sorry, I'm preaching. How does the action plan address these issues we've been talking about? What is missing? What can we add? Are there any brave volunteers in the room? I've not heard from any. Are there any Gen Zs today?
Good morning, everyone, once again. I think it's afternoon now. Good afternoon. I'm Architect Tosan, Chairman Nigerian Civil Architect River State Chapter. I realized I didn't introduce myself the first time, but it was intentional because I wanted to sound like a normal person. So I'm going to make an attempt at preparing a solution to the problems that we have, particularly in River State. Now, there's a very high demand of housing, which is what is causing the problems that we have. The reason for this high demand of housing is because most of the jobs that people do that earn them an income is in the middle of Portharcourt. Now, if we start to spread work, we start to spread the population, we start to diminish the demand for housing at the center. If you take Ministry of Agriculture to maybe a chain, and all the staff that have to report to that ministry and work in that ministry move closer to their place of work with the congested Portharcourt. If we take another ministry, another entity, if you take the head office of, who is the big person, of those companies in Transamadi, move them towards the greater, for instance. I'm just saying, off the top of my head. It reduces the demand for housing at the center. So if you can just pick out those bulk employment bodies, move them out, we tend to develop the outer communities with intention. You'll find that the people who are now experiencing a better standard of living outside would prefer to be outside of Portharcourt than be here. For instance, I'll give you an example. I use myself. I'm running a project in LMA Consultants, but I live in Portharcourt, Jerry. I prefer to stay in LMA because I don't have to drive every day. I don't have to listen to my neighbor's generator. Yes. Fortunately, where I stay, I enjoy 24 hours power supply without paying for it. So, all those benefits, the quality of life there is better. The only reason that I have to be in Portharcourt all the time is because I have to work. I have to meet my clients, I have to go to sites, I have to do work. But put that work closer to me, I have no business here because I'm earning money where I'm living comfortably. So I think that's one of the ways we should go towards solving the problem.
Okay, so you are talking about spreading, spreading out development. I think when we heard from Greater Portharcourt, they were talking about Portharcourt as a smart and compact city. So that may, Yes, it's not going to work, but there are two schools of thought, or let me not call them schools of thought from my own perspective. One, do we spread out, um, or do we densify the existing development and find a way to make it work? The challenge with spreading out is that you accelerate the infrastructure. Yes, that is a problem. But for me, maybe because speaking from a biodiversity and environmental perspective, is that you perpetuate the artificialization of land. So you continue converting land that perhaps was used for agriculture or for forestry to urban use. That is not bad in itself. There are ways around it, for example, by enforcing green mandates, green percentages, and even things as simple as saying, you build over the footprint, put a green roof on top, so that at least the green area is preserved to some extent. But that's a debate for another day. So one idea is move. Okay, I wish so, but we move. Now, let's not debate because that thing it's the poor people that tend to suffer from that most. One, and it has impacts on, because of that, it has impacts on social capital because when you take them away from their social networks, you can't move with your social networks all the time. So that is one of the reasons why people are reluctant to relocate. So, but yeah, yeah. So anyone else with any ideas to share? How does the action plan address our problems? I want somebody to praise this my action plan. I yes, okay.
When action plan now no longer identifying the problem, right?
So we are looking at the action plan. We have talked about some problems. So how can the action plan help solve the problems? Or what could be added to the action plan to help us solve the problem? So it's
unfortunately, I cannot see whether my eyes are so bad. I don't think. Oh, okay, okay. Now, identify. I've listened to people talking about the challenges and the action plan. One thing stand out: the authority, the government. And I want to encourage the council, maybe in partnership with relevant bodies and professionals, to organize a forum. We have election every 4 years in Nigeria. Each of these elections produce the governors that are landowners, so to say, that the land of the 36 states are in care, they are custodian of this land. If it can be every 4 years to have a deep interaction with them, because they are politicians, and of course, when they come, they have their own agenda. They may not be in constant. We're in this room now learning. They may not be opportunity to be here. You don't blame them. I want to take it to state case, for example, River State and Cross River. During Donald Duke era in Cross River, it transformed Calabar. And I met those guys that are doing the project. They are from Ghana. Donald Duke visited Ghana and was Nigerian High Commission office. And so how green the environment is. He called the ambassador then. And one of those guys doing this for you, they call the gardener, ordinary gardener in Ghana. The guy says, my brother, I have the contract, I'm helping my brother, please. So I took someone, the brother, and he flew the brother to Calabar. And that changed the story of Calabar to today. Now, coming back to Rivers State, we all know what happened before Amechi became governor of Rivers State. The issue of K-Leg. He ran away for like 3 months to Ghana. And during the asylum in Ghana, Amechi for the first time was exposed to what Green City means. It was an ordinary person interacting with ordinary people. And when he eventually became governor of Rivers State, he brought some of those ideas, and that will get back to Greater Portharcourt we're talking about today, and some green renewal stuff he brought on board. It will be appropriate if the council, in collaboration with other government or other professional bodies, put a measure in place before you become governor. Attend this one-day sensitization program. All you need to teach them, to expose them to green city advantage, town planning, building code, land size. Let them internalize it and understand this. So that when the Minister of Urban is talking to them, director is talking to them, they will understand and appreciate that they listen to something similar. When the wife wants to build event center where it's meant for children park, he can understand. When it's able to build his mansion and they tell that this mansion, there are codes surround it. I remember Mr. Pedro here, one of the approval I got from Greater Portharcourt. They told me that that place was originally for green, but they can change the use after much discussion. But however, an average plot there should be 1,000 square meter. In Rivers State is 450 square meter. That's the standard. But the condition they gave me there, an average plot, and no plot should be less than 1,000 square meter, and should retain 30% as a green. We call that project Fort Felicia Golf Resort. The 30% there will put golf course there. What happened to that project is a different story anyway. So there's a need to let the government of all levels be part of what we are talking about here. It should be Nigeria Action Plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. So I think, let me see, did we cover that anywhere? Yes. So a very important sensitization and leadership programs for incoming leaders. We will try. We will try. But we actually have been making an effort to engage with subnationals. We have not been able to escalate to that level you're talking about yet, but at least at the level of the ministries of housing and lands, I know that we've been to about 17 states and the FCT, and we're working closely with them. We have very close relations with the Lagos State, with the FCTA. So we'll continue making the making the effort. But what you said is very important. At least let them understand the importance of what we're talking about. So, okay, LRA. Yes, Gen Z.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Please permit me to continue on the already existing protocol. Alright, so I wish to speak from the perspective of building capacity across the value chain. This is one of the strategic priorities for implementation from the Green Building Council's Nigerian Action Plan. Alright, so the Green Building Council has actually come up with a very, very good plan. Though I am an early career professional from the conservation discipline, but right now I'm operating in the development sector, so I work with different organizations. So far from experience, I wish to say that one of the ways in which we could actually solve this problem is that as professionals, when we call ourselves professionals, we actually represent something irrespective of what we studied. no matter how minute you think your profession is, but that is what you represent. And for every certification or all other degrees you have added to your profession as a post, it is just what you are. So I just wish to say that as professionals, we should please try to pay attention strictly to our profession, not minding what is happening around, because everything boils down to ancient wisdom. Once whatever is altered, there are consequences to be suffered. From conservation, anything that is altered in nature, is it putting up a structure for pleasure, but you're taking down trees? Taking down trees leads to some species, like some animal species, moving away from that environment. Now you have the beautiful structure, you have the hotel, but where are the trees? You are actually replacing something for something. And please be prepared for the heat, because it will come. And when it comes, you would also be called to prefer a solution to it. So, what am I saying? Professionals should pay attention to their profession. If you want to diversify, still do something that is in line with your profession. Because the moment you drift as a result of diversification, for example, you're a structural engineer, and because you're a structural engineer, you delved into selling of lands or whatever. It's not bad, it's still in line. But are you paying attention to the code or the conduct of the profession? Are you promoting the right thing in selling those lands, or you're just selling it because you want to make profit and you have to make the money? At the long run, a lot of things will definitely go wrong. And while you still bear the name or the title, I am an engineer, I am a conservator, you are not even in the office to do the right things. Even if there are files pushed to your desk for you to pay attention to, you just shift them because you want to go out there, sell a particular land, and pocket the money. It applies to each and every one of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that contribution. So I think I have two takeaways from that. One is professional ethics and enforcement. So thank God the chairman of Redan is here with us. So can we be kicking out members who violate these codes from our professional bodies? The second important takeaway, I'm not sure 100% shouldn't diversify, otherwise hunger will kill you. But no, but if you must, the problem we have is we have too many amateurs doing what experts should do. So if you must diversify, at least make the effort to learn about what you want to do so that you can do it well. That's my takeaway from that. So yes, we'll soon wrap up.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. All protocols duly observed. My name is Mr. Jack Laboikiabo, and I'm the chairman of small enterprises and non-governmental organizations at the Portharcourt Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture. And I'm here representing the president of the Portharcourt Chamber of Commerce and Industry. It's a great moment for me to be in the midst of heads here, experts here. But as you know, I'm coming from the business community, and I want to share my insights to this very great problem we are all facing. Please, I know some of you may have heard of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. You may have heard of her before. She was sometime the coordinating minister for finance and economy in Nigeria. She was drafted from the World Bank. And I'm getting emotional somehow because of the challenges we're talking about. It looks like it's irreformable. She wrote a book, Reforming the Unreformable, a black book. I recommend that book for everybody to go and get. Reforming the Unreformable. It's lessons from Nigeria. And you look at the problem now we're all talking about, it looks like everybody is pointing fingers to the authorities, the government, and so on. And you will be right. It's a difficult problem. And the government has a big share also. But I'm just recommending my little bit of solution to us as professionals. There's a quote by Gandhi, and I want to read that quote. If you want to change the world, then you start with yourself. If you want to change this world, then naturally you just have to start with yourself. Now, I'm recommending that for all of us seated in this room, let's please start with ourselves. That project you're handling, that business you're doing, that green business you're doing, that green project you're handling. Follow the codes. Follow the rules. I'm not now saying that, yes, we cannot do the advocacy to influence the system, to make the corrections, but we are in a very difficult place, a difficult country, as we all know. So let's start from ourselves. There's something I want to recommend also. When one of, cannot see him, was seated right there. Yeah. He made a comment that was very remarkable. Something like, for the leaders that are coming in, they should be giving some sort of orientation. It's laughable, but it's true. Now, recently, I actually trained as an engineer, and I've been in the business circle for more than 1 decade now. And recently, I just developed an interest in development economics. I stumbled on a book when I went to, there's a place called the Share Library. And that book is just one copy there. The name of the book is Development Success, Historical Accounts from More Advanced Countries. Development Success, Historical Accounts from More Advanced Countries. And that's a book that tells you, how some of these developed clients, these tipping problems we're talking about, how they were able to overcome them. And that is a book, a masterpiece that I would strongly recommend those of you in government to please recommend to anybody who is coming to political office to have a copy. Because when you look at how countries, developed nations have passed through this same process we have passed through, you don't need to reinvent the wheel all together. You can just pick ideas from what they have done, and then you will see that most of these things we are talking about, we can just, you may not just completely take it as they did it, but you can tweak it to our circumstance. So that is my little bit of advice. Then finally, I just need us to be listening to this quote, and it's something that will help us. It's by requiring, and he said this: if others don't use their gifts, he dead. If others don't use their gifts, you get cheated. And if you use your gifts, they get cheated. If others don't use their gifts, you naturally be cheated. And if you, a qualified architect, town planner, a developer, estate surveyor, a professional that you are, if you are not using gifts, others will also get cheated. We are all interwoven. That is the lesson I want us to have take home. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, thank you.
much for giving me this audience. My name is Professor Chukwuemeka Ekita, the Professor of Property Investment and Valuation. I'm also in both academia and professional practice. But God be the glory, Dr. Lawrence represented the academia. Today I'm going to talk briefly from the professional perspective as a valuer, and that is hinged on just one recommendation, and I'll give you 4 reasons for that recommendation. The recommendation is that your body organization should extend your partnership with Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers, because they have seen where we are today some years back. As valuers, we have incorporated the valuation of tangible and intangible assets and their benefits in our valuation approaches. This is as a result of the emergence and the movement in green building. We have also started to integrate sustainable features in our valuation approaches as well. Thirdly, as estate surveyors and valuers, we have some years back started the collection and comparison of market data, comparing conventional buildings, data from conventional buildings and green buildings. We have the data, the first data was published 2 years ago, and we are reviewing it. As valuers as well, we've also been able to ensure that our members comply with international valuation standards. A clear evidence is the production of our Green Book 3 years ago, which was reviewed late last year. So whatever you need, we are not cost experts, we are valuers. I'm not going to talk about the difference between cost and value here. But whatever need be, from the inception, from the acquisition to the management or completion and management of every property investment, you need the value. So my recommendation here today, based on the few things that I demand, is that you please extend your partnership with the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. Thank you.
Thank you for that, and honestly, I'm very excited by what you said about the data on the performance of. We have a discussion about that. One of the core pillars of the action plan is data and MRV systems. Nigeria is not 100% accurate to say that we have that, and from discussions and research I've had to do for work, you recognize that there's actually a lot of data out there. It's just that the data is not easy to lay hands on. You need to make a lot of effort to find the data. So we need to find a way to aggregate all this relevant data and bring it together. And it also touches on one of the other strategic objectives, which is to deepen public, private, and multi-sectoral collaboration. We are trying, but we're a bit, we're a young organization, but we're trying. But I'm pleased to see that we actually had your national president at our Future Cities Summit in July. So we're working towards deepening our collaboration. We're even working town planners. I know some town planners were fenced them. We have not fenced you. We have been engaging with town planners at the national level also. So we recognize that every built environment professional is relevant and important. So I'm not being partial because I'm a QS. Although we have very good relationship with the QSs, but it does coincidental. It's not partial. But we're working to deepen our relationships with others. I think somebody had a question before we wrap up. Okay, very briefly, I think we're getting hungry.
Good afternoon, everybody. Standing before you is Professor P. W. Ihon, the Linus W. Ihon. By the will of the Almighty God and the Faculty of Environmental Science, I'm currently the Dean. First and foremost, the professor with focus in property development operation and project management. And had, can I say, intercultural understanding of property development as well as project management. First and foremost, I want to say thank you for organizing this. And this section, this particular should not be the end of this. It should be a continuous something where interaction like this and exchange of knowledge are promoted. Yes, I've listened to all the points that have been made since I came in. The solution to our problem is you and I. Challenge 1, challenge 2, willingness, everything that has been mentioned now is you and I. If you go to the country like the United Kingdom, it is self-discipline, obeying the law, obeying the rule of law, you yourself. Not the government coming to tell you, you must do this, you must not do this. A developer cannot start any development, for example in UK, without first making available access to that property. And all the services needed in that project before you start erection. That is already in them, is part of them. But in our own case, that is not part of us. We don't do that. All we know, okay, I know how to do it. Give me the contract from outside. We don't follow up there. Even when the laws are there, the major thing is, and therefore, for us to solve all this problem, we need to start in ourselves. First, creating that awareness among ourselves that we need to do this before we go to the problem, before this problem. Even flooding. What are the causes? What are the reasons? What are the challenges? If you look all of them, it is you and I that has created the flooding problem. If you check backward, if we didn't force ourselves to marriage and we decided to have 7 children, how will the population increase? If we had decided we were going to have only 2, as it is, many in the Western world, most of them like UK, 2, 3, maximum 3, the population will be down. And then the much impact of flooding or taking over the entire space for buildings and other things would have not been there. So the green areas we are thinking that we'll do it there. But if you also go to the United Kingdom, you know that the space, the available land they have is not much. But they have used trees and all the rest to also increase the green areas. So, and you see there, most of us will see tree, will cut it down. Some of them, they will convert it and become an avenue of investment, where during the summer, they will go there and people will come, gather, and they will be collecting some little money as an investment if you want to stay there. So what I'm saying is the whole problem here, you need to add to this problem or solution, that the solution to these problems is what? We. Once we are able to deal with ourselves and follow it, fine. Many of them who are architects, countries of them, we compromise standard. Seriously, we compromise standard. Even including me, I compromise standard. Because when the owner of the property is telling you this is what I want, and you cannot, after talking and talking and talking, and it's not working, you say, well, instead of me not to go with something now, let me follow him.
Okay, thank you very much.
And please permit me to leave. I have another meeting in the school.
Oh, sure, all right. Thank you so much for your time. Just you and I. No,
okay, please, thank you so much. Let me understand of the assistant of education. One of the challenges we're having, for example, in the city of Portharcourt and the major cities in Nigeria is urbanization. The rapid expansion that is taking place. And I think we are beating around the bush, but some of the key points I see on the slide were able to provide solutions to that. But I want to state categorically that there is the urban and regional planning law, which has made a demand for different set of plans to be rolled out by the relevant authorities. And I want to say that aside the Federal Capital Territory, I think there is no other state. When my brother was talking, at least he was able to talk about Federal Housing Authority and how they were, rolling out plans every day for as being directed. But we want to say, I want to, based on the planning law, state that one of the key things we need to take away is that approvals are granted without real subject plans, local plans, real land use plans. These plans, this category of plans, we have them as marshaled out from the master plan. So can we say that the relevant planning and regulatory authorities should not grant building plans without those plans domiciled in a plan? Because if we will keep giving approvals to buildings that are not on a plan, then we will still, be going around the circle. Now, when we talk about green buildings, I'm seeing beyond green buildings because it's not just green buildings, we also have green infrastructure. And for us to actually implement green, it's very, very expensive. It's very, very expensive. So I've also seen that there is something that is there about the incentive and the plans that are made. But we need to, listen about that and see, because, for example, in Portharcourt or in Rivers State, where some of our areas are susceptible to flooding, we are also supposed to see avenues of getting the catastrophic bonds and all other bonds and incentives that are supposed to be attached. Sometimes when people are requesting for these, bonds because it is their right, then the government will also be forced to sit up. So the third thing I want to say that we should act with, or we should add to the action plan, it's the issue of local content, local materials, because presently we are importing cement. Presently we are importing glasses for our roofs and all that. Presently, because of the kind of cement we are using, we are recording at the organic and lapse rate we are recording urban heatline, island effect, and all that. But we have wonderful top-notch clay products within our soil, within our waterfronts. We have them, and we are not using them. We are not even we're not talking about oil and oil. So please, I've seen several buildings in our local areas where they use our local clay, and you can sleep without any. You can sleep without any. So I think that is what we're talking about. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Prince, you are not permitted. And let's hear from this young man over here, and then the final one from the representative of the General. Please, very briefly, if you're not hungry, me, I'm hungry. Okay?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for putting this up. And I tried to go through the action plan before coming here. I do have two questions. I just needed to clarify something. It's focused on the objectives 4 and 6. So 4 talks about the strengthening data and MRP. So I just wanted to ask a question that how do you envision this being put in place? Like the MRB monitoring, review, and that she mentioned earlier said, and also for the objective 6, which is the public, private, and multi-sectoral collaboration. The reason why the question is, how do you envision this thing working as people have come up with the plan? What do you see? If the plan is implemented, can you give like a case scenario, an example, how it's going to work? Because I've read books, I've seen documentaries that say that great nations are not built by the government. Yes, the government rules to aid in development, but not sure that development like roads, like and the likes of it. If people that do have the finance to pick up this infrastructure development, how are they able to come in contact with this action plan? Basically, how do we envision these things playing out in the next 5-10 years?
Are you sure you're not an academic? I was just talking to one of the academics there that they always ask hard exam questions. Put you on the spot. For sake of time, I won't go into too much detail. Suffice to say that this is a very high-level document. What we are going to do downstream is we're about to start, maybe let me call it the next phase or the logical next step of this project. This project is wrapping up, but from January thereabouts we'll be starting a new project, which is development of a national decarbonization and resilience roadmap, which is going to run for about 18 months. It's going to adopt the same multi-sectoral approach to develop it. Take the and come up with an actual series of steps and actions that need to be taken to make our built environment resilient. So as time goes on, we'll reach out to you all and see how you can get involved. The interesting thing about this next step is that yes, this first project has been multi-stakeholder and collaborative, but it has been largely GDCN driven. But in this next phase, we are thinking about going slightly wider by setting up a more collaborative and wider development delivery framework, which is a coalition including government, private sector, finance, academia, and civil society. So that's starting in January. So the idea is to answer your question, how do we make it happen? So that roadmap, as a roadmap is how do you get from my house, for example, to ShopRite? Okay, so that will tell us get some cash because you need some cash, and then before you get to ShopRite. When you get to ShopRite, you get to buy what you need. So that's it. So, madam, very briefly, if you don't mind, sorry. Last and the greatest.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'll try and make it as brief. I actually have a question from the strategic objective number 2, where we talk about the incentives. I was saying I will ask this question, the incentives for VAT, for buildings that haven't verified certifications in line with the green debt. So, you know, the new tax reform. So I went for a workshop about the tax reform, and we are meant to understand that by 2026 that should take us. So, is that discussion already being in the picture of the new tax reform for Nigeria? That's one question I wanted to ask, because we are building on something. The first one. The second one is, like you said, you are going into the collaboration, and I want you to not have this gap with the surveillance, because briefly, we see there's no meaningful development without surveillance. So, in all your engagements and lead actors, there is no place. And I've been looking for a while, and you're not there. So I don't know how you're engaging and you're collaborating without having an information. When we talk about flooding, from the social perspective, I have much more data and reasons to tell you why we're having flooding. It may not just be what you are seeing. So there's a broader picture. So we will be very glad to be part of this idea and ensure that certain aspects are being taken care of from our own professional angle. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Well, apologies for not specifically mentioning the surveillance. Everybody is captured. What we're saying in spirit seems to be like a cop-out, but is it true? Unfortunately, we couldn't name every organization by name, but if you check one of the measures, which we are very proud of because it's one of the measures that we were able to get into the NDC 3.0. It's very central to your profession, which is mandating hazard mapping, so that every local authority in Nigeria is supposed to have a hazard map. So you're going to develop, you know where to develop. When you're going to develop in a floodplain, you're not saying they didn't tell me, I didn't know that this land was a floodplain, or there is a forest fire risk, or so on. So the quality of surveyors to this, we need to know where to build, what to build, how to build. So we recognize that on the tax, honestly, we've not had any interaction with the tax authorities. This is an idea that we have for how to incentivize green buildings to address. It's not very costly, it's slightly costly. Okay, but even that slight cost, if you have to pay school fees, is a problem. So how to address that is something we are thinking about. So it's something we'll try and push upwards. The challenge with tax incentives is sometimes governments are, for example, one very quick way of incentivizing green buildings, for example, is to tell Greater Portharcourt to say, okay, if I'm building X certified, I will collect 50% of the development fees. Okay, so that becomes an incentive to build green. But then Greater Portharcourt will now come and say, how do you compensate me for the loss of those development fees? So that is a proposal that's trying to reconcile. You understand? Because there is, with every incentive, there is a potential loss of revenue to government. So we need to balance those things. Thank you. So running that session for us. I'm not someone there. In the meantime, can I invite a representative from Abia State to the hot seat? Abia has been with us from the beginning of the project, so they're very dear to my heart. So anything we do, we always carry them along. And our representative from, okay, you're here.
Okay. Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for your time. Okay, just to make it very brief, I'll be inviting some national representatives from Bayelsa State, Abia State, and Delta State. Please I invite to the high table Tampana Samuel Atomatafa from the Ministry of Physical Planning and Environment, Delta State. Thank you. Sorry, Ministry of Lands and Housing, Abia State. Thank you very much. And Tampana Nia from Bayelsa State, Ministry of Land and Okay, so just to be very brief, the session is just to get the perspective of subnationals on the action plan and maybe their actions going forward. And so I'm going to take two questions very briefly. And the first one is, can you share something about the challenges the states are facing from climate change and what the state is doing or planning to respond?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Build and Wokunta Kenneth from Ministry of Lands and Housing, Abia State. Based on the information that we have in recent times, since the election of the new government in Abia State, being led by His Excellency OT, there has been a lot as it relates to climate change because the state is taking it seriously. Previously, so many things have been going wrong as it relates to how activities were carried out in urban development, urban renewal, and housing. So with the new government in power, there's been this rapid development because it was taken as if Abia State was 40 years behind other states in the federation. And because of that, the government has moved in a very rapid state. One of the challenges that most people have mentioned, it has been the inadequate policies and regulation, whereby there is weakness in enforcement. That is one of the biggest challenges. So there are the regulations, there are policies, and they are continuously being reviewed. But the implementation of these policies has been a very big challenge. But the state is trying as much as possible to meet up because in recent times, we've been able to at least stop a particular development because when there was this development, when we started talking about the biodiversity, there is this forest within Umuahia Municipal where somebody came in with a proposal that an estate should come up there. But we frantically oppose that because immediately you go into such development, automatically that area you've destroyed, and then the heat will increase. So we very fought, even getting to the level of going to the House of Assembly to make a presentation
Because what I've found out is that when we are talking about professionalism in all these things, the politician is there maybe based on interest. Okay, I want to do this because of I'm the governor. But as a professional, you present with due facts. If it wasn't for the activities of the workshop with the GBC, I think we wouldn't have been able to make some emphasis, even make it presenting templates, including the Paris Agreement and other policies, that the state got to understand that by doing this, we are destroying our environment and we might not be achieving a good score as it relates to our national climate commitment. So we were able to, forestall such, and then, other areas were mapped out, and then a proper development plan is going on. Currently, we have triggered the establishment of a master plan for the state, which was previously not in existence. So we had to get to the House of Assembly to give an approval for a master plan, and the state has been able to develop using the River State, planning of getting the greater Aba, which is the business hub of the state, greater Aba development and the greater Ohafia development, so that development activities can be well managed, which should be able to help us, to forestall even our forest reserves are being planned out very well right now, and then also to ameliorate environmental degradation, more especially in the Aba area. One of the strategies that I feel is an action plan that should be carried out is I will encourage EBC to help us in capacity development of professionals. Because we might sit down here, talk a lot of things, the ideas, but if we don't disseminate these ideas down to the grassroots, because the town planning authorities in the local government chairman, the councillors, they need to know what development, what the carbon footprint, more especially as it relates to the built industry, its effect to our society. So if such, we channel such advocacy towards the grassroots, it will help a lot. And that should be, that's part of our action plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. From Delta State. Thank you very much. Kampana Samuel Atumatufa from Delta State Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development. So the question says, can you share something about the challenges your states, cities are facing from climate change and what the state is doing or planning to do? Well, I would say the present government strides in that direction. Just February of this year, the governor signed into law a new law for the state, urban and regional planning. The law was Physical Planning and Urban Renewal Law of Delta State 2025. So the state governor actually included in the law a lot of these action plans that has to do with green buildings, which was not taken into consideration in the past. The law was meant to be all-encompassing. Things that were not captured in the previous law that was approved by the past governor has been captured in this law. And many factors were taken into consideration, concerning the environment by the new law. Just recently, we had to deal with
a lot of two things that we had to deal with recently, as approved by the governor, are drainages and slums. We had to do some clearance of some slum settlements that did not have approval from government. Squatter settlements, informal sectors that were there. The governor had to make a proposal for new development in those areas. Those projects are constantly going on in the state. A lot of drainages have been cleared so far, though not just implemented by our ministry, but in collaboration with Ministry of Environment. All right. Then just recently, about 2 months ago, the state governor approved a new master plan for all the major cities in Delta State. The last law that was done was the last master plan was far back as in 1992. So the state governor this year, 2025, has approved a master plan for Asaba, for Warri. That's the first phase. Other towns, Ugeli, Saple, and Kwale, are going to be the second phase, and other towns will take place at the final phase. Then, more recently, the state governor has taken Department of Town Planning by introducing the use of GIS, though it has been on paper all along, but now it has been introduced for us to use as tools to be able to go about our activities. The process is still on the making. The cost of putting the project on ground is quite high, but the state governor has already kicked off by formulating policies, establishing subunits that will help to carry out some of these functions. I'll stop there for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, Bayelsa State.
Okay, thank you for the privilege. My name is Town Planner Thomas Nia. I work with Bayelsa State Physical Planning and Development Board as the Deputy Director of Development Control. I'm also the Chairman, Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, Bayelsa State Chapter, and also the Chairman, Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, South-South. I think in Bayelsa State, we have a problem that is peculiar with all the states in Nigeria. I think the government of the day too, they have these powers that they can control things, do it the way they want, and decide whatever they want. But as town planners, we understand that we cannot just sit down somewhere and work on our own. Planning for the people is something that is very easy. But if you plan for them, there is no way that thing will come to limelight. So the best approach is for us to go to the people. As town planners, we plan with the people. We are not planning for the people. We are not planning for Bayelsans. We are planning with Bayelsans so that we can get something right. So, on that note, like in Bayelsa right now, you have the new in the world, and that privilege was given to town planners to plan. The government of the day gave that privilege to the town planners to plan. And the result that we're having right now is quite different from what we used to have. Although if I look at it somehow, I will just feel my own community, because I'm from Onopa, where you have the government house. That's my own community, my village. Somehow I don't know if I'm going to address myself that I'm from Onopa, because I don't know where Onopa is heading to. So right now, the town planners are given that privilege, and what we have on ground now is different from what we used to have. On a normal note, when you get to Inagua, you will see these green areas. You will see them. But at times you just wake up in the morning, you see development springing out. You wake up sad. As the Deputy Director of Development Control, maybe I want to rush in to see what is happening here. But directive will come from above. And you know the normal saying, he who blows the piper tells his soul. So, I don't. So when they defend the tone, you don't have any other thing to do. You just have to give your candidate advice. And if it is followed, that is fine. If it is not followed, you will still remain on course because you work under them. But the truth about everything, like I said, since we are working with the people, I think right now there's a lot different from what we used to have in Bayelsa. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So this last question to Bayelsa and Delta. I know Abia already identified capacity development as one of the key objectives that they can take right away. So from the 8 strategic objectives, which one is like the low-hanging fruit for Bayelsa and Delta?
All right. From the 8 strategic priorities for implementation here, the first one has to do with strengthening regulatory and policy alignment. Of course, I've already said the government is already doing something about that. A new law has been put in place. Then, if we take number 4, build capacity across value chain, we discover that we are highly short-staffed. When you want to say short-staffed, we are short-staffed. All across the state, we don't have enough field workers that will carry out development control. And not just development control, other aspects of planning that we are supposed to engage in. We are barely able to carry out the development control, not to talk of monitoring exercises after the people have used. So the government needs to do something about that. Then the policies, implementation policies by the government, we still have to strengthen that arm about implementing. Most of the government policies, they are general policies. When we now come to specifics now, very, very specific. For example, making a law and saying in every approval, there must be this amount of grains. We have that law for government acquisitions, but we don't have that law for private development. So there needs to be improvement in that area. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bayelsa, just one key strategic objective.
Okay, I would like to feel strategies like you mentioned, or maybe I will not forbid it. We are short staffed. That's what we can do. And okay, we are still relying on the government to direct all that we do in Bayelsa State. Because without the government, really there's nothing we can really do. The government, the decision, everything will come from the government. Because we look at their body language. Without the body language of the governor, if in quotes the governor is not okay with what you are carrying out in any specific area, there is no way that it will come to limelight. So we also depend on them. Whatever they want, that is what we have.
Thank you very much for your time and the panel.
So, okay, thank you, I would like thank you for our eminent guests from Bayelsa and Abia State. Oh, I think it's the wrong way. Abia, Bayelsa, and thank you, sir. So, we'll be wrapping up here. Apologies, we took an extra 10 minutes. I promised somebody that we'll finish. So, we took a few minutes of your time. So, we'll wrap up. No closing remarks from me. Just thank you very much for your time today. Thank you for your insightful contributions. Thank you for your observations. We are going to take them all back. Once we start working on the roadmap project next year, we'll definitely be in touch to continue working with you, especially town planners and surveyors. We really need you. So, and estate surveyors. So, we want to, okay, now we're going for lunch.
Group photo outside. Group photo outside.
But before we go for lunch, we want to take a group photograph.
Here. So it's raining. Let's do it here. It's raining outside.
Oh, it's raining outside.
So we'll do it here.
Okay. We have to do it indoors. Okay? And who is organizing it?
Photographers.
Photographer, who has organized us?
I don't get money for phone.
Let's get more seats.
I think 4. It's not position. Just bring chair close and keep it well. Or keep it on that bag. Do the bag well.
You don't move. Probably for pushing the bag.
It's better I keep it on the bag.
You guys sit down here.
Let's come forward for the group photograph. After that, Marianne, call it in. Yeah, we can have another one there. No, leave that one, leave that one. We can have another one that way. I didn't hear you. Please, if you don't have a lunch card, make sure you take one from me before we go for lunch.
Please, if you don't have a lunch card, please do not to take one before we go for lunch.
Oops. Go ahead, everybody. It depends on the camera, if you can capture, we can add one more. Marianne, are you enjoying it?
I'm doing it.
Nothing like
Okay.
no go straight.
So we'll go to the restaurant for lunch. Okay, this way. Sorry. Has everyone gotten the lunch card? So we'll go to the restaurant for lunch. Please follow Prince. I forgot to say, a member-based organization. So if you're not a member or the tax you pay for attending, please sign up for membership. Who should apply, or if you're interested in membership, please reach out to apply or Marianne or Prince, who is a resident rep in Portharcourt, or Prof. Edwin. They will guide you through. But we would appreciate you signing up as members. Thank you.
Very easy.
Sorry. Ikriko.
Yeah, that's.
Sorry, come.
Hey, I'll go of life.
Please, can we go to the restaurant, please? They're waiting for us at the restaurant. Okay. Please, by all means, if you need meal cards, please, if you come with, you came with the driver, they should eat. These are all our cards. Yes, sir. If you came with the driver, please call him to come and get it. Don't show because I'm giving all of them. No problem. The question.
That's what I'm saying. So basically what we do is sustainable development. So we have I would have mentioned that one. We are really interested just trying to, if you actually have look for better one, this
invite the politicians, because those you talk about, invite the politicians so that they will be here. Here is to make the final decision. So if they're involved, it will be easier for us to have.
you should ask who to come.